We're very fortunate today to have with us Dr. Carol Swain. Dr. Swain, your personal story, first of all, is fantastic. I mean, you started out in a shack, growing up in a shack, then going to working in a library. Somebody tells you that, hey, you know, you're a pretty intelligent young lady, and could you just summarize that a little bit for me?
I can tell you that I was one of 12 children born and raised in the rural South, southwestern Virginia.
Yeah.
Dropped out of school after the 8th grade, married at 16, and went through a lot of turmoil, you know, as a teen mom and wife.
Yeah.
A lot of depression, and I had an experience in a medical hospital where at that time, I did suicide gestures, taking bottles of pills, and this medical doctor told me I was intelligent, I was attractive, I could do more with my life. And I was early 20s. I'd never had anyone tell me that I was attractive, and I had forgotten that I was
Well, you
intelligent.
still are, by the way, if I may say so.
Thank you, but I had forgotten that. And as far as getting from there to the high school equivalency through to the community college, I worked some, you might call them dead-end jobs, but for me, it was very important. I worked in a garment factory sewing uniforms. The name of it was Made Best. And I worked in nursing homes, and one of the African orderlies said, you ought to go to college. And I found out that I could go to college, you know, with the GED.
Sure.
And one degree led to another, and before I knew it, I had 5 degrees.
I noticed that you've got several master's degrees. You're a tenured professor at Princeton.
And Vanderbilt.
And Vandy. And your story, I mean, just your story in itself, when I was reading it, probably 2 months ago, I ran across it, and I'm thinking, wow. And then I get this call from Becky, and through Jack Galasini, a mutual friend, that you're coming to town. And I was so excited.
Well, thank you.
I get to meet you, and this is one of the greatest things about this job is I get to meet some wonderful people. But I want to talk to you about some things that the 1776 commission that you were vice chairman of, appointed by Donald Trump, President Donald Trump. That was a very How did that start?
Well, first, I can tell you that he appointed that commission near the end of his term.
Right.
And we did not actually meet until December 18th when he announced it.
Oh.
And by then, the election turmoil had taken place.
Right.
So it was announced on December 18th. We met for the first time on January 4th.
Oh.
And so we were able to produce a report, a 40-some page report, before President Biden dissolved us on his first day in office. But we live on. I'm still the vice chair of the commission. Larry Arnn of Hillsdale College is still the chair.
Oh, okay.
And we're meeting later this month with other stakeholders, people who care about America. And our whole intent was to really encourage the teaching of American civic education and history by going to those original documents, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, autobiographies and stories of people who lived through that period. The true history of America is a history of whites and blacks working together. There were always white abolitionists. There were whites that created schools for the newly freed slaves. There were whites that, during slavery, they were the ones that set up the Underground Railroad that Harriet Tubman used. And the historically black colleges, that was white philanthropy. The true story of America is a story of what we have been able to accomplish working together.
Well, the other thing is, teaching history correctly about the United States is a good thing.
Yes.
The civic classes that I had in junior high and high school no longer exist.
Right, and the President Biden has a federal rule that he is trying to have grants to teach American history and civics, but what he wants to teach is the 1619 project that was started by the New York Times that really is anti-American propaganda. And the theorists that he mentions, you know, in his statement for the Federal Register, these are anti-Americans, and so if it's not stopped, we will be subsidizing the teaching of American hatred to children. And when I think about myself and my own success, I always believed in America and in the American dream, and that if I worked hard enough, I could overcome the circumstances of my birth. Where critical race theory, which is steeped in what President Biden is pushing right now teaches the opposite. It teaches me as a person of color that I'm a victim. I'm at the mercy of white people, that white people have to liberate me, and that even no matter what they do, that it's still permanent. And so it's very dangerous, very destructive, and it's important for people to organize and push back against it.
Well, in doing so, you're here at First Baptist Church in Birmingham, Alabama. Beautiful place, wonderful place. And it was the Eagle Forum that invited you. So are you speaking around the country now besides teaching? Or how is that?
I have so many things, like lots of parents and teachers and business people are coming to me about the critical race theory issue that has gotten its nose into, it's in the church too, as diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I've started a new company called UnityTrainingSolutions.com to offer.
Say that a little bit slower.
UnityTrainingSolutions.com.
We'll put that on the screen.
And that is to offer an alternative to the race-based teaching that's so divisive. And the training that I believe that would help all Americans, and I want other people to start their own companies, is training that's around values and principles that's consistent with our civil rights laws, our equal protection clause, and we know that as Americans, we don't shame and bully people because of the color of their skin. That's something we all condemn. And if you're confused about what's right and what's wrong, substitute any other racial group for white. And if it's wrong to bully and intimidate blacks and Hispanics because of their ancestry and the color of their skin, it's also wrong to do it to whites.
Sure.
And just like during the civil rights movement, we all locked arms and we stood together against discrimination.
Yes.
We need to do that today, and I think racial and ethnic minorities need to lead the fight.
Lead the fight. Okay, so the 1776 Commission has been dissolved. Is this new thing?
No, it's been dissolved by the president's stroke of his pen.
Right.
But we didn't dissolve ourselves. We are still very much in operation.
Okay.
And we just released a book, 1776 Commission book, with citations, a new introduction. It's available on Amazon and places like that. So we are still meeting, and we're working with other people who care about American history. So the 1776 Commission that President Donald Trump set up, that President Biden dissolved federal support for, still exists.
Still exists, and you can go to your website, which is Dr.
You go. I have a website called BeThePeopleNews.com.
BeThePeopleNews.com.
And you can order the 1776 report book, the new book by Larry me, and Matthew Spaulding. We're the editors. Or you can go to Amazon if you want the 1776 Commission report. And we're very much out there fighting for America. And we need other people to join forces with us.
Well, we are just thrilled that you're out there doing this. And we're proud of you. We're proud of what you've done in your life, and that everybody can do it if they just give it and have faith in God.
I mean, it's absolutely.
And have faith in God.
It's absolutely a moment where we need to rise up. And this is a civil rights issue taking place, but this critical race theory that operates under the guise of diversity, equity, and inclusion is an attack on Christianity, Western civilization, our whole way of life. And people need to realize that. And it is in the church.
Yes.
And it's torn apart every denomination, including the Southern Baptists.
Right. Well, thank you so much for being with us today.
My pleasure.